Got into a little debate, friendly debate on X about whether or not people setting fire to the Teslas was an act of terrorism. And the person who was debating against me, who didn't agree with me, was saying it's not, it's crazy to call it an act of terrorism to just set cars on fire. That's not terrorism. It's an extreme act of vandalism. It's not good. I'm not saying it's good, but it's simply just vandalism taken to an extreme level. I countered that. I thought it was terrorism because most likely the person doing it, let's assume they're sane. I thought it was terrorism because, I have two minimum requirements for terrorism. One, there must be a political aim, and two, the person must be of sound mind. That's why I don't consider most mass shootings an act of terrorism, because very often mass shooters are not right in the head. It's hard to be a terrorist if you're not of sound mind. So I consider Dylan Roof and Timothy McVeigh to be terrorists, but the Sandy Hook shooter not to be a terrorist. Okay, so and the second part is you have to have a political aim. Now, I think setting Teslas on fire is a political act. The question is the person who set them on fire sane? Let's assume they're sane. If they're sane and they set Teslas on fire, I think that's an act of terrorism. Now, why do I say that? It's not just vandalism. Well, one, it has a political aim and it's an act of intimidation. Vandalism usually is not an act of intimidation. It just is an attempt to deface a property to, kind of vent out. Maybe there's political anger. But when you start to add in that element of intimidation to it, then I think you start to cross into terrorism. And terrorist activity doesn't just have to be against persons. I mean, if you think in Germany, there's the Red Army faction, better known as the Baader-Meinhof group. These were left-wing radicals. And what they did early on was they would bomb department stores. They were anti-capitalists. They'd bomb these retail stores. They hated capitalism. Those were acts of terrorism. And from there, and this is what's really dangerous, from doing that, they eventually progressed into actually, trying to kill people, bombing government buildings, assassinations, kidnapping, and so on and so forth. There's a movie called the Baader-Meinhof Complex. You should watch it. It's pretty good. It's a good movie, and it gives you an insight into the radical left and how politically correct they were, and this weird connection between like sexual arousal and violence. I want to do another video on that. I've kind of talked about the BDSM of politics, and there's something like that in the Baader-Meinhof group. But I made the case that the Triple K, for instance, they firebombed businesses. Now, are we going to say those weren't acts of terrorism? I do agree with is, as of now, this doesn't seem to be coordinated attacks. This doesn't seem to be a single entity like the Triple K or the Baader-Meinhof group. Okay, that still doesn't mean it's terrorism. It just means it's lone wolf terrorism. But if you're going to make the case, like, okay, Triple K and the Baader-Meinhof group and what's going on with the Teslas, it's a different severity level. I would agree with that. So we can compare Baader-Meinhof and the Triple K to these attacks because they both attacked retail businesses. So it is terrorist activity, in my opinion. But I'm not making the case that what's going on right now has reached the level of the Triple K or Baader-Meinhof group, lone wolves who are engaged in terrorist activity. Not making that case, but I am making the case that it's still terrorism, even if it's to a less severe degree. And one more time, just to stress this, the Baader-Meinhof group started with the retail bombings, and it escalated from there. So my mentality with terrorism, terrorist activity, right and left, has always been to, quote unquote, kill the monsters while they're small. I don't mean kill literally. I mean attack their ideology, snuff them out in any legal way possible, and also with just public outcry as well. So yeah, I think it's terrorist activity.